Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pour my paint, which we're just using 2 colors today, which is black and white. So I'm going to get a fair amount of each on my plate. Probably more white than black. And then I'm going to start by using my 1-inch brush. I've got it wet in my water and I've tapped off the excess water, and I'm just going to do a dab on my paper towel just to get the excess moisture off. What we're going for is a pretty dark fade from dark to light and then back to dark again. Go ahead and try this out. Alright, so I'm going to mix my middle color first because it's easier for me to mix my lightest color first and then keep adding in the dark. That way you're not going back. And this is a really loose painting as well. Alright, so I've got a good mid-tone gray. It's a little bit light on the mid-tone, and I'm just going to start right here in the middle. And I'm going to start laying my paint down. We might need to do 2 coats on this. And if you feel like you're getting some skid marks across the canvas, just go ahead and add a little bit more water to it. And I'll help it glide across there. You see I'm taking my full horizontal strokes here. Mix a little bit more of this color here. And I mix it very loosely. Just making sure that I've got all my canvas colored. You want to make sure that you're coming in at that little angle on the side of the canvas as well, so you don't have any missing spots. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of dark black to that. You can start making this mixture a little bit darker. Just going to come in underneath there. And I'm going to do it above as well. And once I get that darker color on there, I'm just going to paint down into the lighter gray. And it will start blending. Okay, and I'm going to add quite a bit more black to my mix to get this darkest gray. It's not all the way black because we want our trees to be black, but it's going to be maybe 2 steps down from that. Kind of a dark gunmetal. A little bit of water. Make sure I got my edges and my top. I always paint the edges of my canvases black just in case I don't feel like framing, because I have a lot of paintings and that's a lot of frames, so I might actually have to go a tad darker. Maybe I'm going to do a little bit darker here. Just coming in right over the top there. I'm going to work that down. If you have streaks, that's alright. It's a sky. Skies tend to be streaky, or and then we're going to take this dark color and we're going to go underneath, because it is a reflection, so what we do on the top we want to do on the bottom if we're pretending that the canvas is going to be cut in half. Bring it up there. And just kind of work it back into that lighter gray, keeping my strokes horizontal. Oops. A little bit of water will fix that. We'll just come right back over that and just work it in, or grab a little bit of this white. If you guys have too many streaks, well, I don't think there's any too much streaks, so. And at this point, I'm going to turn my canvas over because it'll be a little bit easier to get to that top bit. Come in and fix that little streak I had there. Up here. And take it a little bit of water. Make sure I'm going all the way over. And I might need to do 2 coats on this as well, which is totally fine. So we're going to let this dry, and then we'll come back and we'll probably put 1 more coat on there to make sure that we really have our canvas covered. Alright, so we are nice and dry. We are going to lay in our moon and our stars. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my paper plate. I originally did this painting while we were camping, so I used this fancy Dixie paper plate. It looks like maybe an 8.5 inch. And I have a piece of chalk. First off, I'm going to find the center of my painting, which is right around here. And I'm going to go up just a tad. I don't like to have things completely centered. I'm just going to draw my chalk line there. Real rough, it don't matter. Alright, I'm gonna put my paper plate there. That looks pretty centered, and then I'm just gonna draw my chalk line around this. Just a basic circle outline guide that I need to follow. I've used quite a few different things. I'm trying to get different size circles. Alright, so we've got our circle, we've got our horizon. Now we're going to add some stars. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this handy dandy toothbrush, Colgate. It's kind of a medium bristled toothbrush. Nothing real special. I just don't use it anymore. And I'm gonna rub it in some of this white paint. And I do have to mention this paintbrush is a little damp, as it was just rinsed out from the last time I tried to use it. Alright, so we've got our paintbrush and we're working it in. That way we don't have any big blobs on the top. Just kind of coming around, make sure there's nothing gonna just jump out and land on your canvas. The center part, where the moon is probably a good place to start. That way, if you mess up, it's gonna get covered. So let's just check out this flick. Oh, so much better. All right, so we're gonna do our thing, and we're gonna flick these stars kind of all over. We're gonna go down here too, because the stars are gonna be in the reflection. Okay, just going all over the place. I know Tasha has a tendency to get a little excited with her stars, and I'm just gonna call it quits. The stars aren't the main attraction here, guys, so I'm just gonna double check against my lights. Perfect. We got our stars on. Make sure you put your toothbrush in your water or rinse it out, otherwise it's not gonna work so well the next time. Alright guys, so I'm gonna stick with my 1-inch brush because this is going to get the job done a little bit faster. I've rinsed the gray out of my brush and I am ready for a light white colored moon. It's going to pop against this gray. So I'm going to take quite a bit of white. I'm just going to put it there, and I'm just going to take a smidge of the dark, just a quarter. Just going to mix that in, and that's just going to give me a little bit of substance. Because we don't want it all white, because we want to be able to highlight the outside of the moon when we're done. So we are going to do our best to follow our lines around the moon. So and keeping in a circular pattern around the moon. So however many ways you guys need to turn your canvas, if you're painting on a table, it's a little bit easier. Easel, you might have to turn it a few times. So we're just going to keep this circular pattern going. And I am going to turn it because it's a little bit easier that way. Try my best to follow that line. If you go out of the line, that's okay. See, I have a little bit of black on my paintbrush too for mixing, which works because the moon is not all one color. It is kind of a mix. Turn again, and then I'm going to bring my paintbrush around using the edge of my paintbrush to follow this circle and paint circular motion. One more little outer edge. And we're going to step, bring, and follow our paintbrush around the edge, and I am satisfied with that circle. Now let's hope that I don't get shaky and go out of the lines. Alright. So I'm painting this all in, and it's a very, very super light gray. When you get to the middle, I always just do kind of like this fun little squiggly circle thing. And then we're bringing it out around the edges. And we're probably gonna have to let that dry for a minute and then go over it again. Moons aren't the easiest thing, but they're not the hardest thing either. It's just getting that crisp circle edge. Making sure our chalk lines are covered. All right. I think I'm gonna let that sit, and I think that we will come back after that short dry time and come in, and then we'll do our another coat on that, and then we'll start working on our tree line. Alrighty, it looks like our moon and our stars are dry. The first layer here, I see some spots where I missed along my chalk line. So I'm going to go ahead and do one more coat on my moon before I lay in my trees, because to me the moon seems like it's going to be the focal point. So I've got my 1-inch brush. I've got my trusty Dixie palette here, and I'm going to grab some more white here. Just a corner tip, just the tip of black. Just going to give me a little bit more body in that whitish color. Now I'm just going to continue in my circular motion, and I'm going to fill in, making sure I've got my chalk lines covered. I'm going to keep it circular. You can see where I did not mix my paint thoroughly, and that is okay with me. I like a little bit more streakiness. It kind of adds to character. I'm going to flip my canvas, and that just helps me get a better, a little bit easier time painting when you're painting on a canvas. If you can keep flipping it, or if it's even on a tabletop, whatever works for you. Flip it back this way. I'm going to come in. I'm just going to round out those edges, making sure that my chalk line is covered. And you'll notice that sometimes I go out of the line here, which is no big deal. I'll just make it a little bit bigger. Just keeping that circular pattern here. In the middle, I do my swishy circular thing, and then I blend it out to the outside. I'm not going to do a whole lot more to this moon. I think it looks pretty good as is. I do see one spot here where just need to get, there we go, cover my chalk lines a little bit better. When your painting is dry, then that's the good time to go in and get rid of any chalk lines. You don't want to do it before, just in case. It's much easier to wait for it to dry and then come in and clean up. A little bit of black in my paintbrush, but that is okay with me. I like the streaked painterly look of the moon. Just gonna keep working it, keep blending. And I know I've got some trees that are going to be coming up from the center. That's going to cover that. So I'm going to call that moon perfectly. It's good. So we're going to let this dry. And when we come back, we are going to work on our tree line, our horizon water line. Alright, so we're back. We have our moon in, we have our stars in. Now we're going to work on our tree line and our horizon line, which is basically your shoreline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse my brush really, really well here. And I did 2 layers of trees. So the very back layer of trees is going to be lighter because those things are farther back. They are lighter in color. And then we're going to do a layer of black trees as well. So first thing first, we've still got our chalk line for our horizon here. So we're going to mix a mid-tone gray I think we want it slightly lighter than our color here. So we're going to start at our horizon line here. Our trees are going to frame the moon, so they are going to be bigger, and then they are going to get smaller, and then they're going to get bigger again. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off, and it's going to kind of look like, this is the easiest way to do trees. It's going to look like either an audio file or like a seismograph type. Let's see here. Actually, I'm going to need a little bit darker. That's the nice thing about acrylic paint, is you can change your mind at any point. So if we're making audio files or wave sounds, we are just dragging it up and down, creating our song. We're going to go back over here. We're going to make it a little bit taller. Whatever you do on the top, you want to do on the bottom. Now, if it's easier for you guys to flip to the side, which for me it is, it's just not good on camera angles. But I know that you guys you're already in the camera angle of the moon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this seismographic back and forth. It's getting smaller and smaller. You already know where your horizon line is, and so you want to do on the ups and downs the same-ish. So we're just going to come in and we're going to keep it really loose. We're doing these little trees now that we're in the center. Just like a sound wave, guys. It's or where they monitor earthquakes. It's real loose. And then as we get farther outside of the moon, we're going to start picking up the pace. making them longer. This is a good far away landscape trick. If you can make, it's almost like an audio file, or like I said, a seismographic. And they are going to get longer. As we get farther down and toward the outside. Now I'm just going to come in and I'm going to fill in the middle. That way my moon is not peeking through. Just in the middle. Whenever you do to the top, if you accidentally go a little bit farther, you want to follow through with the other side, because the other side is the reflection. So we're just going to fill in. We're going to fill in the middle. Once you get your tops on there, those are fine. It's just the middle that needs to be very opaque, colored in, because we don't want the moon peeking through at the horizon line. All right. Thinking that looks good. I might just do this one just a little bit more. All right, we've got a nice dry canvas. We're ready to put on our the next layer of trees, which will be just black. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this canvas. I'm going to just do sideways because it's easier to actually do these trees sideways. So I'm just using black, straight black. I'm going to start at the top and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave some of those tips of my gray peeking through. You guys take your time. We're coming into the middle, so I'm going to start getting a little bit shorter. Nice and easy, horizontal. I'm using the long edge of my brush here. You don't want to be painting flat. You want to use the edge to get that nice line. And I'm not going over the entire thing. I'm still leaving. I've got some of these gray trees in the background that are playing peekaboo. But I really want this black tree line to be very defined. Start getting a little bit longer again. I'm just going to flip this over so I can get the other side a little bit easier. So it's just a really loose painting, guys. Alright. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black and I'm just going to fill in the middle bits so it's a little bit more dense, so we don't see that peekaboo moon. And I see where I got a little bit higher over here, so I'm going to just come over here in a couple spots. Fill in the middle here. Black. Just making sure that the very center of my tree line is filled in. We don't have any sky or moon bits poking through. Just going to try and even this up just a little bit. Edge of my canvas there, because I always like to paint the edges of my canvas black anyway. Alright, that looks pretty good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to mix a dark gray. So I'm going to take just a little bit of white. We're not going to need that much. And just a corner. And I'm using my 1/2 inch flat brush. Actually, I need a little bit darker. And I'm going to do my horizon or my shoreline. And I'm going to try and go right in the center of my tree line here. Okay. I'm just gonna make it a little bit more pronounced. I'm sure your trees are a little bit wet still, and that's fine. Alright. And then with the same gray, I'm going to do some reflections in the water. Which I'm just going to grab some of my gray paint, and then I'm going to wipe most of it off because we don't want a whole lot of paint. And I'm going to start down here because I see where I've got some stars that got a little bit out of control. So I'm just going to go ahead and fix that by adding some water reflections. I'm going to go over my moon so that this really says that this part is the reflection. I'm just using the very edge of my brush sideways, not flat. And just dragging some lines to create some sort of water reflection. And you're going to go up in your tree line. You're not going to go past your horizon because it's just from the bottom down. And you don't need a lot of these, just enough to tell your brain that there's reflections and this is the water. Your brain will make up the rest of the pattern. See, we're almost blending into the same gray, so we might need to go maybe a touch. We'll do a touch darker and then we'll do a highlight on top. So I'm just grabbing a little bit more white, a little bit more black than I had before, making a nice dark mid-tone gray. And then wiping it off. We're gonna check it. It's still a little bit lighter. That's okay. And a little bit more black to that. It's just really not popping. We're gonna go for a gunmetal gray. Down here in the darker bits. I'm going to bring a little bit of that up here. Alright, I'm going to rinse my brush out. And I'm going to make a very light gray. That's what we'll use for highlight. So we'll get some of this white here and just a smidge of the black. So we don't want it to be too stark that it's competing with our moon. We want our moon to be the brightest thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very lightly line my shoreline in just a few spots and just a few of these ripples in the water. I'm not going to do the whole thing. Just enough to make that catch the light just a little bit. And I'm just going to bring some of these to my ripples. I have to do a lot. When you're highlighting, sometimes less is more. Alright guys, that is it. Now you can always change up the colors in this one. My daughter did one with a purple background for her teacher and it turned out really great. Any color will work. Black and white pretty much goes with anything, so if you wanted to make your sky a different color, mix it up. All you would need to do is sign your painting and maybe paint the edges black. As always, thank you for joining us. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Check us out at creativecanvas406.com.